Hello again and welcome back everybody to another edition of the Rural Report. I am your Rural 2IC. Thank you so much for tuning in, and to all new members. I'm not normally one to check on the metrics, but something happened and I just happened to be on there, and I saw we got some new members. So if that's one of you, welcome. Thanks for joining in. Uh, Quick disclaimer, notation, whatever you want to call it. Um, right before recording this, I was doing some research. Some of you guys sent me some articles and some other screenshots, different things. And I was doing some stuff and I was bouncing around and I stumbled upon a news clip, uh, like a video clip. And man, did I go down a rabbit hole. I started taking notes and I had papers everywhere and all sorts of stuff. And I made a video and I hesitated and thought about it and I deleted it. And then I said, nope, it's important. I need to get it out there. And so I made another video and then I thought about it and I deleted it. And I was like, nope, this news clip that I saw was from July. And so, it's not breaking news or anything like that. It's a little odd because I don't remember anything about it. But man, I put a lot of time into it. And so I was like, all right, I want to make a video. So I made a whole another video and I have not deleted it. But now I don't know if I'm going to post it because I have a bad feeling if I do, man, I'm going to get at the very minimum a strike, if not threat of taking the channel down. And I have too much fun with you guys. So I don't know if I'm going to post it or not. All right. So anyway, let's get back to this video. So, as you can probably tell from the thumbnail and the title of everything, you are your own first responder. When it comes to prepping, that is the word pre for prepping. So when you prepare, you are pre-doing everything. So that means that you need to gather your supplies and your gear and your knowledge and your know-how before the event happens. And so when we think of first responders, what's the ones that come to mind? You have basically your main three. You have your police, you have your fire, and you have your medical. So SHTF happens. Let's go through them one by one. So for police are pretty obvious. Police keep the peace. They go through and, protect and serve. That's what most of them say on a badge or on a police car or whatnot. It's a service of providing protection, enforcing law. That's why they called law enforcement. But when some event happens, insert whatever event here, the reason why you're preparing, law enforcement's not coming. Okay. And some of you that's kind of rural like me, I mean, I don't have a police department where I'm at. We have a sheriff's department, and unless I just happen to be in the area, I mean, that's probably a 20+ minute drive, depending on what side of the county that they're on. And so you got to think, what do all the duties of a police provide to you? Well, they protect and serve the community. And so that means that you're going to have to pool protection. So whether that is you just starting out and you're alone, or you're with your family, you're going to have to provide protection. And one of the things when it comes to protection, especially if you're new, if you don't have a MAG, a mutual assistance group, then it's going to be one of those ones that you're not going to be able to do it all by yourself. You have to sleep, you have to eat, you have to go to the bathroom, you have chores, you have things that you got to do. You can't pull 24/7 security. And so that's where cross training comes in. And it's one of those ones, especially through all three of these first responders, you are the first responder and everybody's going to be their own first responder. And so you have to make sure that at a minimum, everybody in your family and your group has a very basic, minimal skill level. Even if they don't enjoy it, even if they don't want to do it, you need to learn the absolute bare basic skill involved in doing it. You, even if you have a mag, everybody needs to know the bare minimum of it, because you don't know on who's going to get sick, who's going to get hurt. Anything can happen. And so people need to be able to step up into that role. You cannot get complacent and just say, this is my role, that's your role, and that's the way it's going to be. And so you're going to have to do security. And when it comes to security, it's going to be like a what do you call it? A dartboard effect. So it's going to be maintaining your home. Your home is your castle, and you're going to have to do everything you can to defend it and protect it. And we can go through probably a whole mini series on that, on the ways that you can set your home up, the way that you would do things, beforehand, during, all that. Everything from being able to cover windows, blackout curtains, being able to have pre-cut lumber ready to go, so that way you can run a drill and within 10 minutes you can have your whole place buttoned up, all the glass covered, doors locked, everything like that. And you also got to think outside the box too. So it's protecting and serving the community. So if you are going to be your first responder, that means that it's going to be outside of your home as well. So if the SHTF event happens, and let's just say for the fact that maybe you and your significant other share a car, maybe you're having financial hard times and you can only afford one vehicle at the moment, you guys, you're going to be your own first responder. You're not going to be there with that other person all the time. So they have to have the ability, the know-how, the confidence to be able to protect themselves until you get there, to help protect them. So that's why I'm pushing on this. And that's why when it comes to first responders, especially on the police side, you need to make sure that you have everything. So that's not only the cool grabbing a whole bunch of gear, guns, and going blazing into battle. That's negotiating. That's reading, body language. That's reading the situation, being able to have a level head while everybody else is in a heightened state. There's a lot that goes into it, and it just takes time and practice. Next is going to be fire. In an SHTF situation, whatever you want to do, if you want to say that the electric grid's down, the firefighters are not coming out to your house, okay? And so if you say, hey, the electric's down, I'm not going to have a fire. Okay, well, think about it. There's a lot of fires that happen because the electrical grid is down. People start heating their homes with kerosene, and they just pulled it out of nowhere because they haven't used it in years. They didn't bother cleaning it, and after an hour or whatever, there you go. They got a whole bunch of problems. Or insert whatever. It's too cold outside, so they bring their gas grill inside. They don't know how to cook over a fire. Next thing you know, something else is on fire. So do you have everything that you need? You can't just rely on the water hose, because if the power's down, then there's nothing pumping water. So you can't just run over and turn on the hose and put it out. Do you have fire extinguishers? Do you have stored water that you could use in an emergency? What do you have that you can take care of to be able to extinguish a fire in your place? So if it happened to you, because it may not even be your fault, maybe you take extra special care and you go through things 3 times over to make sure that you're not going to have that fire accident, doesn't mean that your neighbors aren't going to do something. Maybe they're getting careless, and all it takes is just a floating ember on the wrong place, at the wrong time, and all of a sudden your house is in the mix with everybody else's. So it's one of those that when it comes to this, again, you're your own first responder, and that's going to include police, but that's going to include fire and rescue. And so it's going to be one of those that if you're outside doing chores and you suddenly look over because smoke, catches your eye. You realize that part of your house is going up in flames and you don't see the rest of your family. Part of fire is fire and rescue. Do you know what to do? Can you go in there and safely get somebody out? That's a really, really hard thing to practice. Most fire departments don't allow civilians to run up and do full-fledged training like that. Some of them do. I've seen where you can volunteer and go in and take responder classes like that. Then we'll move on to the next one, which is medical. Medical is very, very important. A lot of the prepping channels talk about medical. Most of them don't talk about the fire aspect. Some do talk about at least the tactical side of the police side. But when we get into medical can happen at any time. And that's why I think a lot of them push the medical. You need to have, at the very basic, you need to have a beginner's lesson. You need to know, and I don't know what they call it now because you're not supposed to call it the Heimlich maneuver. But when somebody's choking, do you know what to do to help them? Do you know basic first aid? Do you know basic CPR? Do you know the basics of something? Can you stop the bleed? Can you do something? Can you keep a level head while everybody else is freaking out? Because how many times have you seen it on TikTok or some other thing that something happens and everybody's first instinct is to either one, completely freeze, or two, pull out your cell phone and just stand there. Very few people have that instinct or that training to where when something happens, they immediately kick in and run over to try and give assistance and try and help out. And that just takes training to where you get muscle memory. Boom, something happens, that's muscle memory to spring into action and go do something to assist that person. Especially with kids. Kids do kid things and kids get hurt. That's just part of being a kid and growing up is they've got to do stuff to figure things out. And sometimes that's jumping off something that you definitely shouldn't have, touching something that you shouldn't have. They don't have the years of experience that you and I do. And so if you have kids, I highly recommend. Now, once you get the basics down, I would continue to recommend to get the next tier up and really take it into. Now, I'm not saying go off and learn how to do brain surgery or a triple heart bypass or anything along those lines, but you need to know the absolute very basics, and then it'd probably be a good idea to move up into at least a level 2 to where you might be able to, at least triage. You can at least stabilize somebody. That's at least a good minimal thing to know and to push for. Recommendations on that. There's a lot of free courses. I know that different agencies put out. I know the Red Cross does some stuff. I've seen some stuff with the libraries, sometimes the fire department. There's a lot of places that offer free training, in-person training. Now, there is some places that you can take online training. There's different groups that if you have the ability and the funds that they provide training. Refuge Medical is a good one. I will link that down below. And also getting the right gear, because as is kind of one of the things I do, when you're first starting out and you don't have a lot of money, something is better than nothing in most cases. But when it comes to medical, it's one of those ones where a name brand, actual proven, battle tested, proven tourniquet is going to be way better than buying the $3 one off wish.com. Save the money, spend whatever it is, 26, 28 bucks or whatever. Buy a actual proven tourniquet. Trust me, if you ever have to use it, you're going to be glad that you did. And then, there's other ones that you can, if you have to skimp out, you can get non-name brand rubbing alcohol. You can get generic bandages. You can go to the Dollar Tree and get a Band-Aid and put in your boo-boo kit. That's completely fine. Something is better than nothing, and it'll work as a band-aid. There's a time and a place for all that. Certain things you can't do. And so when it comes to this, you have to remember you're going to be a first responder. And so you're going to have to think of all the first responders. Now we can go into some of the other ones and all that, but we're going to keep it to 3, at least on this video. And I want you, and here we go. Here's your prepper homework. I want you to figure out, are you covered in all those? If you did an event and you can get a pen and a paper and sit down by yourself or as a family, and you can play this out. Here's your scenario. What would we do if this happened? Are we prepared? Do we have the means to protect ourselves, to fortify our house if we have to? Do we have everything in case of a fire? Do we have fire extinguishers? Do we have a fire blanket? Do we have everything? Do our smoke detectors work? It's one of those ones that it's good to get it done now. Now is a great opportunity, especially going into winter. You can sit down and you have a little bit more time in the inside of the house, at least for a lot of us northerners, because I live in Ohio. So maybe if you're down in southern Texas, you can still sit out on the beach and do this out there. For the rest of us, we're going to be sitting inside doing this. But run through everything medically. Are you good? If one of your family starting to have chest pains, do you know the symptoms? Do you know what to look for? The questions to ask? All of it. Run through it all and see where your weaknesses are. The important part is to be honest with yourself. Lying in this isn't going to impress anybody. It's going to get somebody hurt or worse. So while the time is good, run through it. It's okay. We're all human. And this channel is for the new prepper. You're not going to be perfect. I'm not perfect, okay? When I was running through doing some stuff, I realized that I have a fire extinguisher that's out of date and probably needs to get down and recharged and recertified to make sure that it is good. Is it probably still good? Yeah, it probably is. It's not out of date by long, but if I let it go, then who knows? I may let it go for 6 months if I don't do something with it now. Then if the time comes, okay, I'm going to pay the price for it. So we're all human. We all make mistakes. Be honest with yourself. It's okay. If you do happen to do the prepper homework, just like in any video, let me hear about it. What scenario did you run? What did you find that you were really good in? What areas did you find in a weakness? What are you going to work on? I'd love to hear it. I love hearing your guys' stories and all that. And a lot of times, what I do is I give out the topic like this, and it inspires. I can't talk tonight. It inspires some of you to do it, and then somebody might be on the fence, and then you will go do it. You will come down in the comments and do a comment. Somebody will read that, and then you will actually be the one that inspired somebody else. You, even though you're not here as the face of the funny long-haired guy that talks funny, you might be the one that inspires somebody else. You might be helping them. So that's why I encourage you guys. I know sometimes it's a brave thing to do, but it's okay. Trust me. I do everything I can to moderate the chats. I'm not going to let anybody do anything stupid. So trust me. You are okay to share, okay? All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you guys got something out of this. We're going to continue to pump out some new stuff as the time goes. And yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing day. And stay tuned. There's more information to come. I appreciate you guys' time and tuning in. I love each and every one of you guys. And we'll end it with the same thing. Please remember to remain united, because we're all prepping in this together.